He's having a fantastic day, and the month is shaping up really, really well. We're looking at now the last week going into the completing the first month of the second quarter of the year. So if you're not at 10 vehicles on average per month, January, February, March, and now April, if you're not at 40 vehicles sold and delivered, then you're putting a lot of weight on your shoulders at this point in time. And maybe you have to do 15 or 16 or 18 this month and next month in order to be able to catch up for those slower months of seasonality when we just don't sell that many vehicles in January and February. And that's the reason why the advertising machine gets turned off. But the bottom line is that when you get a customer who is interested in what you have to offer, and this could be an e-lead, a phone in, or a walk-in, and that's particularly where your presentation secrets kick in the most. This is winning that customer over for the very first time so that they become part of your repeat referral, your network, or even your service department upgrades. That traffic that you do control, those unintentional buyers, are considerably easier to facilitate presentations of demonstration drive and delivery to because you've earned the know, like, and trust badge of honor. So the ones that I think we struggle with the most right now is the walk-in, obviously, because the walk-in is super red hot in terms of a buyer, but they're really fearful of missing out on a better deal down the road if they simply waited a little bit longer, continue doing their shopping and looked around some more. And of course, they're motivated by fear and desire. The desire is the easy one. They want your product. Unquestionably, I had a great chat with a Volkswagen manager of a Volkswagen dealership yesterday, pardon me. And it was great from the perspective that he came from the domestic world of selling trucks and SUVs, and now in the import world of selling cars and SUVs, not really any trucks other than pre-owned. And he was saying, you know, in terms of your training, Bill, like, how does it appeal to this very loyal customer base of Volkswagen that I am not accustomed to? And based on your resume, and this is how he knows me from my work at General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, how do I adapt? How do I tailor the presentations, the demonstration, the delivery, as well as negotiating, closing, and prospecting to that European import brand? And I said, you know, it's a really great question, and I get it a lot. Certainly with the time that I spent at Mercedes-Benz, it did open my eyes to it. I thought I was selling luxury vehicles, selling Cadillac and Chrysler product at the time, and really it's on another level. It's different at Mercedes-Benz. The expectation is different as well. Now that's luxury brand. That isn't necessarily what Volkswagen is, but it may be considered luxury import brand from a comparison standpoint of all the other automobiles that are offered in the marketplace. But the bottom line is what I was sharing with him, and this is what makes product presentations and presentation secrets of our product top of mind for me this time of the year, is that they're with some buying behavior that will not allow us to do a product presentation for whatever reason. They could be so excited about the product that they just don't want you and I getting them more excited about it, because at that point, desire overshadows fear and pain, and they'll just simply make the decision. Or maybe that they really genuinely don't have enough time at the moment that they come in to see you, and they're just trying to gather a little bit more information. They've worked up enough nerve and courage, as we know from the steps, getting to speak to us. Walking or calling in is a huge step. That's basically it. Now every shopper is a buyer, and this shopper is reaching out to us, so we know they're a buyer. They're either purchasing our new product or our slightly used product if they're looking at pre-owned, or they're going to continue driving the car they're driving, and therefore they're buying the trade-in that they've got. They could continue to make the bi-weekly payments on the one they're driving, or if it's paid off, then the monthly payment that they have on that vehicle is the depreciation cost. Because every single month, no matter what, look, they're all going to have gasoline, they're all going to have maintenance, they're all going to have insurance premiums to pay. That's not really a cost. That's the cost of ownership. But part of that cost of ownership, and maybe the more expensive part of the equation, and the part that a consumer does nothing but lose, right? You have to have insurance to drive the automobile. You have to put gas or some kind of energy into it, right? If you plug it into the wall in your garage to do so. All of that is necessary. Depreciation is not necessary. If the client were to deal the vehicle right now, it's probably worth as much or more than what it's ever going to be worth at any point in time. That could be next month because of the tariffs. That could be next quarter because of tariffs and dollar value, whether you live in Canada or the United States, and however price shakes out on that front. If all production moves to the United States, then automobile manufacturers cannot capitalize on a less expensive dollar exchange in Canada, and they certainly can't compete with a lower dollar exchange and a lower labor cost rate that Mexico has. And so all of these economic elements, while they're being broadcast and well explained in our news media, this may be what the customer is concerned with. And this could be a reason why they're reaching out to us at this point in time. So your presentation secret is really understanding the buyer behavior that you've got. And if you follow me and you've been watching these videos for a long period of time, you know that I follow the 9 steps of our one system of 3 phases and 9 steps every single week. And this particular week is step number 3. So if you remember the manifesto, the 6-figure income manifesto, you'll have seen the buyer behavior and how no 2 buyers are the same. And therefore, as you move forward to the activities, step number 2, and how you facilitate those activities, and this is the reason why our activities are laid out cellular, you can allow the customer to start where you want to. You'll start to recognize a pattern of particular buyer behavior that will not follow a linear progression. And then when we do move deeper into the activities that lead to the sale, in this particular case, we're talking about just 3 of the 8 activities. The product presentation, the secret here is understanding the buyer behavior that you've got and recognizing that no 2 buyers are the same. Therefore, your product presentation is different. It's very different for an assertive, aggressive, dominant buyer. That buyer is probably only going to allow you to present 2, 3, 4 features. The talkative buyer is going to talk about every car that it ever owned and had, and how great and how bad they were, and who has one, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, co-worker, and that you rode in it, and it is good, but this would be better if that were in a particular location. If you don't take control of that particular customer, and it's not so much control in a domineering fashion, but it is just leading them towards the decision that they want to make, sharing with them what the vehicle has in terms of 3, 4, 5 features. That's probably about all that you're going to be able to get in at each position change of the walk around. If you do any more than that, you probably could lose them. They may be polite and listen to you, but at the end of the day, they're thinking, oh my gosh, look at how much time this is taking. And I had no intention of spending this much time in the dealership. And that's how we lose them. That's how they ghost us. And that's how they get away. And they take that information and go down the road hunting for a price, because we know that the most important thing on any shopper's list is price. Second most important thing is then the product. And that's exactly how the 2 fall into place all the time and all the way along. You want to just stay apprised of that and aware of it. It doesn't mean that you have to obsess over it, but at the same time, recognizing that if you can't present such a dynamite reason, I want to go so far as to say argument, that the car or truck or van or sport utility they're currently driving is something that they should not be, definitely in comparison to your new product, and that's the reason why they're calling you, but something they should not be driving in general. Certainly if that vehicle is now 6 months old, they should not be driving it. And the reason why, and I tried to pick the worst example in the entire bunch, like, don't make this easy for me. It's easy when the vehicle is 16 years old. They should not be driving. When there's holes in the body, they should not be driving. When there's holes in the floor and they're driving children to school and daycare, unquestionably, that's where you make it easy for me. Where you make it hard for me is to help you reach your maximum potential with how somebody that has an automobile for 6 months, and we're talking car, truck, or van, or sport utility, and that they should get rid of it. The only reason that they would, the only way that you could possibly convince them that the payments are affordable and the vehicle is newer, is that you can take it in on trade and exchange it elsewhere. So in Canada, it would be selling it to American dealers because there's an advantage in the dollar exchange. And that is the reason why the tariffs came along. And quite simply, it levels the playing field for all of our American neighbors to be able to purchase automobiles that they would really like to choose that aren't exactly the same, only 30 cents less because of the Canadian exchange rate on our dollar. If that becomes the level playing field, and somebody has a 6-month-old automobile and it is still an advantage for an American dealer to buy that Canadian car because we may have 20,000 kilometers on it, well, that translates into 14,000, 16,000 miles when the speedometer and the odometer are switched over as a requirement of importation in order to be able to do so. And that may be less than what somebody drives in the United States for 1 year. So that is the reason why a 6-month-old vehicle would be a really great time for someone to trade it in, because the minimum amount of depreciation has been suffered and the maximum amount of desirability in another market is maintaining the price, therefore not lowering the trade value. And now that individual, who is probably an achiever type of buyer, really likes having a new vehicle quite frequently all the time. That is not going to be a high percentage of your clientele. To my knowledge, I don't think it will be. It certainly could be. There's a potential for it to do so, but even if it were not, if that were just 20% of your portfolio, can you see how you can sell 10, 20, and 30 vehicles per month with predictable consistency by going to those repeat buyers and saying your car that 6 months plus a day is eligible for us to be able to get rid of it, and you suffer the minimum amount of depreciation. Now let me show you how affordable payments are on the new one. And this is starting to sound like a closing and negotiation scenario, but it is not, because what you're going to do when you show the new vehicle is how the little tiny subtle changes of moving to the new one are making the difference. Maybe it's just a color. It could be trim level. It could certainly be that you've got another automobile with more features. It could be, in order for you to make this affordable, that there is a feature missing off the automobile that you are taking in on trade, and now they're moving forward to a vehicle that has less equipment, but still the same body style, still the same trim level, still all the same things that any friend, family, or relative that has ridden in that vehicle, including an employee, knew that was on it. It's just the owner doesn't have to say it doesn't have the 17 speaker sound system. It's only got the 13 speaker sound system. That probably wouldn't be noticeable. Now for the achiever buyer, that's really not, I think, a deciding factor. Certainly if they're coming from a 13 speaker sound system to a 17 speaker sound system, and that justifies a price increase, then yes, that becomes part of your presentation secrets presentation style. And this is the reason why I spend so much time on buyer behavior. When you know the kind of buyer that you've got, it makes it so much easier moving forward and getting to yes, because you're anticipating what they're going to say. Your demonstration drive secrets are straightforward and easy. Every single customer has to go out on a demonstration drive. I don't know why you wouldn't. It makes absolutely no sense in the world to me for any salesperson to say, Bill, do I have to go out on a demonstration drive? Do I have to accompany them on the demonstration drive? And I only have one answer to that, and it's absolutely unequivocally yes. In my dealership, on our lot, it's mandatory. You lose your job for not doing so. And the reason is manifold, but top of mind of all the reasons that are important. Number one, we prevent any individual from horsing or abusing the vehicle. If you've ever heard of horror stories where a customer was put out in a pickup truck and then somebody called back to the dealership and said, I saw your brand new truck driving down the roadway towing a boat or towing an RV. You know, it has happened. People have used it for free. The really smart ones that recognize if I can take the vehicle on a demonstration drive all alone, it'll be easy to do so. You could have a car broker, an unregistered car broker that has found your vehicle and a buyer and said, I'll go get it and I'll sell it to you and you'll pay me a commission in order to do so and I'll negotiate the deal. I had that very one happen to me a lot. People have come in and very vague about they don't want us accompanying them on the demonstration drive. Then we find out that the vehicle purchases for a family member and they're going to take it to them, and the family member doesn't want a salesperson there. They're reclusive and they're an introvert, and they're, we just can't go, and of course we don't give them the automobile. And then there's the stories about the vehicle that is stolen. Somebody takes it out for a demonstration drive and it doesn't come back. And it happened to me when I was a manager. One of our new salespeople put a couple of high school students out in a vehicle. It wasn't a hot rod. It wasn't a performance car at all. It was a two-wheel drive compact pickup truck with a handshaker in it. And the boys were joyriding it, lost control, smashed into another vehicle. So they just parked it at the side of the road and walked away from it. The salesperson who let them go out in an interesting story, he was an ex-police officer. And so he'd left the force and he'd had enough and wanted to do something else. And we thought he'd be a fantastic salesperson. He actually did turn out to be a really great salesperson as well. His ability to read people was magnificent. So he knew that these two high school students were probably going to school in town. And so he went the next day to the school and hung out in the hallway as an undercover police officer might do so. And of course he saw the boys and he grabbed the one and hauled them out and brought them down to the dealership and read them the riot act and told them that the police are coming down. And they did. I don't think they arrested him, but they took him away, and then they got the buddy. And it was a sticky situation that just didn't have to happen like that if the salesperson had gone out on the demonstration drive with the people. And that's the most obvious and the easiest answer to why in the secrets of doing a demonstration presentation that you need to go. But the harder question is really, or the harder answer is really, when you're not present on the demonstration drive, then you can't hear the objections that could arise. For instance, if a customer shared with one of your competitors that they were coming, that they couldn't purchase the competitor's automobile before they come over to have a look at your automobile because they've just been told by dad, mom, brother, sister, neighbor, cousin, co-worker that they had to go down and look at that vehicle, then that salesperson may set your automobile experience up for disaster, in that they could say, what you're going to find going down to see that particular product is that because it is less expensive, it's made less expensive, and it is noisier, it is rougher riding, its acceleration isn't quite as good, and from a reliability perspective, that is probably your greatest concern. So now the customer comes in with a predetermined notion of a subconscious negative prejudice against your product. And they're not going to wear this on their forehead. This isn't going to be a sign hung around their neck. They're not going to walk in and say, hey, I was just down at competitor A. I'm coming to you B because it's not really my first choice, but my dad, my brother, my sister, my uncle, aunt, co-worker, neighbor, mechanic told me that I had to come here before I purchase anything. And I understand that your quality isn't as good, your price is less, your vehicle will ride rough and be noisy. And can you tell me what the truth is? They are not, make no mistake, they are not going to do that. And unless you're present on the demonstration drive, you can't hear that. You can't disqualify those myths. You can't say things like, if I could show you through independent or even our own manufacturer specifications that the vehicle is as powerful or more powerful, that it accelerates as fast, almost as fast, or even faster than that other automobile, that it is as quiet, quieter, or almost as quiet through independent or our own manufacturer studies. If the customer wants your product, they're going to buy, unquestionably, because you made it easy for them. You gave them all the reasons to bridge the gap from what their old vehicle is not doing to what the new one will. Bridging the gap is not closing the gap between what competitor A has versus what competitor B offers. That is not what is at stake. What is at stake is, and make this difficult for me, if the customer has paid off their vehicle and they're driving it payments free, maybe they inherited the vehicle last year or 2 years or 3 years ago. Maybe they were gifted the vehicle last year, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. There are no payments on that vehicle, and therefore they're considering yours anything from zero to the bi-weekly that you're going to create is going to be expensive. Anything at all. They're just not accustomed to making a payment anymore on the automobile that they're currently driving, other than the depreciation that we talked about before. But that doesn't really count in this particular case because client hasn't been used to making any kind of payment. They got it for nothing. So the depreciation factor really doesn't matter to them because if they get nothing for it, it costs them nothing in the beginning other than gas, oil, and grease, maintenance, in other words, right? And insurance. So when you're taking them from where they are now to where they want to be, that's building the value bridge. You must focus your presentation secrets on what the old vehicle is not doing to what the new vehicle will do for them. And when you identify the hot buttons, maybe it's heated seats, maybe it's a heated steering wheel, maybe it's the infotainment system, maybe it's the safety that vehicle has, maybe it's more horsepower, maybe it's electrification and that they don't have to go to a gas station anymore, especially if they work shift work, right? This has been not really addressed well, in my opinion, when it comes to selling electric vehicles. Probably one of the greatest advantages of owning an electric automobile is that if you don't drive very far to start with, if this vehicle is primarily used for commuting from A to B, then range anxiety doesn't exist, doesn't apply. And this became top of mind for me when a friend called and said, "Hey, look, Bill, I'm thinking about buying the Hyundai electric product." I'd say, "Hey, good for you. I think it's an excellent product. I think you'd be really, really happy with it." I don't have any firsthand knowledge with it. I did my research very quickly and made sure that it is, in fact, a good product before I told them that I think it's an excellent product. The feedback that I saw and the quality and the problems per 1,000 was very, very good, as expected. And his comment was, "This is for my wife to drive to the hospital and back. She's an MD in the hospital. And quite frankly, we're not going to take this on a long distance cruise. So don't tell me about range anxiety. Don't get me all worked up and fussy about the fact that I can't drive it to Florida in less than 3 days." They don't go to Florida. When they do go to Florida, they fly. They're kite sailors and mountain bikers, so very active lifestyle. So in order for them to load all that stuff in anything less than a Suburban or a Yukon XL or a Navigator isn't going to work for them. And of course, they don't want to drive a great big vehicle like that. They do have a van as their second vehicle that is gas powered. And his comment was, "It's going to be so fantastic, so great to pull into the garage and simply plug in. Not have to, when my wife is getting out of the hospital after shift work, an exhausting 8, 12, 16-hour shift, and it's wee hours of the night or morning, and all she needs to do is get in, turn it on, the heat blows hot instantly, the heated seats work instantly, the heated steering wheel gets hot immediately, and then she drives home, parks it in the garage, plugs it in, and it's always topped up, and it's always ready to go." And when he first asked me about it, it struck me odd. I thought, okay, because he's a sailor and a cyclist, this was a green move. This was all about the environment and protecting the environment and his way of doing something towards the environment. Of course, if you've studied the electric vehicle and the political debate that constantly overshadows the benefit of reducing carbon emissions based on being electric, and the fact that the level of hydrocarbons required to create the battery alone, let alone the automobile itself, and all the chemicals that are required to make it look good and be able to drive it on the roadway, overshadow again the benefit of the lower CO2 levels that are produced. I really thought that that was the direction we were going in a conversation, and I was well prepared for it, and I'm neutral on it. Nothing, absolutely no automobile can compete with the acceleration statistics of the electric car. If you're an automobile enthusiast and speed and power and traction are important to you, on the weekend we were watching, I love watching YouTube, and so my feed is chock full of automotive stuff, and my son races cars, and so his race car is in the garage frequently, and we're tinkering with it and doing all kinds of things. And I don't race. I don't even support him at the track. He goes off and does it with his buddies, and that's his thing. I'm an off-road motorcycle enthusiast, and he does that with me. The whole family does. But the thing that I really love about the electric car is its the two-motor four-wheel capacity. And having watched some of the YouTube videos that I was watching on the weekend with the late Ken Block and the neat stuff that he could do, and it was specifically my favorite is the Unicorn, the Mustang, and the Gymkhana videos. If only, gosh, he had lived long enough to be able to do an electric powered version of it. And if he did one, please put it in the comments down below. I'd really like to watch it. To my knowledge that he didn't, and maybe his daughter will, which would be terrific, or someone else is definitely going to come along and do so. I think there's so much capacity for it. There's an opportunity, unquestionably. And so my point is that if you're an enthusiast of automobiles, and specifically of performance and acceleration characteristics, you cannot disqualify how magnificent the electric vehicle does in that capacity. But if you use an automobile, like the majority of individuals in North America, Canada, and the US, as an appliance, this is a necessary evil to get from A to B, then the electric automobile, albeit is a great solution, it just can be expensive, and depending on where you live and the distance that you need to drive, it may not be the best solution. There could be alternatives. So that's kind of, I think, where we're going in the automotive field. Engineers are working on definitely a hybrid concept of it. Toyota's come out with the solid state battery, which is absolutely amazing and changes everything. Charge time is way less, range is considerably better, recyclability is even better, duration of battery life is considerably better than everything that we know that is in the marketplace right now. And that's just the evolution of technology. We're going to have to get there. So always keep in mind, when it comes to the product presentation, especially an electric vehicle, probably the lion's share of your buyers are going to be achievers. Like my friend, who his spouse is an MD. He was deciding on the car that she would like to go to next. Her car was 3 years old, I think it was, maybe 4 years maximum, and that's just how long they keep it. Doesn't matter how much mileage is on it. It's just they want to turn over that frequently. Who wouldn't? I think that's a perfect trade cycle. For him, the real advantage was something I had kind of noodled and thought about, but being able to plug it into the garage. So it really comes down to convenience. And so when you look at our product presentation secrets and trying to identify the particular hot button of that individual that is looking to purchase a vehicle right now, are we addressing the appropriate hot button? Because while we may think acceleration and performance characteristics are just unrivaled and can't be beat, don't fool yourself. If you drive a great big engine Camaro or Demon or even Hellcat, Trackhawk, Corvette, and not to mention the exotic supercars of European models and so on, if you drive one of those automobiles, again, nothing holds a candle to even a very inexpensive $40,000 electric vehicle. Their power is unmatched. But if that isn't the hot button, the reason why your client is purchasing, and in my particular buddy's case, it is not. And this is a guy that, he has seen the offshore powerboat that I've got, and how excited I get about my son and daughter and I building up this super motor for it. Now we're moving on to a blower motor, so that's our next project for this year. We'll buy a block and we'll assemble the parts and get the blower on it. We're trying to decide between a roots blower or power charger blower. I like the roots. I like how high they stand up. We've learned that there are 471, 671, 871, and I think a 1771 blower, and what the numbers all equate to, and then the pulleys and the power. And a boat is different than an automobile because it's always driving uphill, so it generally uses a truck engine as opposed to a Corvette or a Camaro or a Mustang or a Hellcat engine. And the really neat thing is, he looks at it just, it's like me looking at his electric car. I go, wow, it's really nice. He says the same thing, wow, it's really nice. Mine makes an enormous amount of noise. His doesn't make any at all. He can plug his into the garage. I'm having to find high performance, ethanol free marine gas at only specific marinas. But if you knew the hot button of what makes me tick on an automobile, and it really made sense from a presentation secrets perspective. One of my friends is running a large dealer group in Canada, and I pop in to see him in the Chrysler store, and he said, have you sat in and started the new Challenger? Well, I have sat in the Challenger. I have all kinds of pictures of it. If you were following some of my ads last year, I featured that a lot. We got the best response of any clicks on any ad, either the electric Ram or the electric Challenger, the new Challenger that's now on the ground. And I said, no, I haven't started it. And I didn't say anything to him because I don't know whether he was trying to trick me or not. I knew it was fully electric. And he said, well, press the start button. And here's the really fascinating thing. It looks like a normal automobile. Now, most electric cars do. And I think that's been part of the folly of designing an electric automobile, taking the standard trim, the standard look, the traditional design, especially in the pickup truck world where now you've got a trunk under the hood, and trying to make that appeal to an electric buyer. Now, certainly there's going to be pickup truck buyers that want to drive an electric vehicle, and unquestionably they'll benefit from even more storage capacity under the hood, let alone in the pickup truck box. But I think there's a lot of storage capacity to start with in the vehicle, whether you really need that or not. Anyhow, I sat in the Challenger, and you talk about the power of a presentation. And the secret was sit in it and start it. Now this is going to the trainer and the product trainer that does a lot of this work on it. Now I'm training trainers on how to present the product. And so I didn't say anything. I stepped on the brake exactly like I would in a gasoline vehicle to start it, whether you need to or not. I don't think you do. And I pressed the start button. And if you haven't done this, you must experience. Go to a Dodge dealership and go through it. The sound is unbelievable. How much noise and engine noise that fires up and simulates a gasoline-powered muscle car in a fully electric automobile. So I was really taken away. I've now told a lot of people that story. And this is what your customers get. These are the presentation secrets that you can leverage. Now, we go much deeper in these presentation secrets in the Six-Figure Income Manifesto. If you want to know more about that, I'll put a link down below to book a call with me. 15-minute call, that's all it is. And I won't try to sell you anything. You can just ask me the questions about, how can I close more based on what I'm currently doing. I'll ask you a couple of questions of what your business is like and how you go about closing and how many leads you're getting, because to sell 30 cars a month, and I'm sure that frustrates you and aggravates you when I say that. So let me say 20 cars a month. And you probably could be like, that's impossible. I remember those days vividly myself. Like, when 10 cars was a magnificent threshold. I would celebrate on the first of the next month if I'd sold and delivered 10 cars. And then, of course, you start to gain momentum. And then, of course, I started to invest in myself because I wanted to do more, because I was enjoying what I was doing what I love. And, of course, it went up higher and higher. To sell 20 cars a month, you don't even need 40 leads. When I share with you the simple mistakes that you're making, and maybe you've picked some of those up right here in this casual conversation about presentation secrets and the hot buttons that get people revved up and fired up, it's so easy for you to change your course and get on track to earn a six-figure income this year fast. Don't come to me in November and say, hey, look, I need to make six figures this year. It's possible because I'm a possibility guy. I just don't think you can do all of the work that is required in order for you to be able to get to that level. More importantly, in order for you to be in order for you to be able to hit six figures with 6 weeks of the year left and the quietest time ever, you may have to invest some significant capital in yourself, not just with my training, but it would be with advertising and marketing in order to be able to do so. But it's possible, it's doable. There have been students that have done so. The bottom line is, you got a lot of time before that happens. And so if you want to know more about these presentation secrets, where we take you through the manifesto's 3 phases, it's one system with 3 phases and 9 steps. It's just one system. 3 phases. They're really quite easy. And there's 3 steps inside each of the phase. And then within each step, there are just 3 actions that you take. And before you know it, you're talking to 5 to 10 hot leads a day, and you're closing 2 to 3 deals a day, or at least every other day. And at the very worst, every single week. And all of a sudden you're on the leaderboard because we have a system. So what you're getting right here, and Facebook has changed the rules on our videos. So our video is now only posted for 30 days at a time. So hurry up and go and watch the old videos that are back there. LinkedIn, they're lasting forever, which is fantastic. YouTube, it'll be on our channel forever, which is terrific. But Facebook is the only one that's putting a limit on it. Probably their servers can't handle how much of these live sessions that so many trainers do on a regular basis. And mine is at least a half an hour or slightly more at a time. And that reminds me, I just got to look real quickly at the time. We're over time. We're way over time, 8 minutes over. So I'll wrap this up. If you want to know more about this, book a call with me. 15 minutes could really change your life. The link will be down below. Book a call, and I'll tell you what to do immediately so that you can get on track to earn at least 10 sales. And even with this month where we've got 7 days left to go, 7 days as of yesterday, 6, I guess, of today, or 6.5 now, I'll help you get there unquestionably, easily. It takes work, but the manifesto will walk you through it. And of course, there is an investment. You need to buy it. It's not expensive. It's $3,000, and that will be paid for within the first month with no trouble at all. We know that. You get lifetime access to me and to the system and the classes. So every single Thursday, just before this class at 10 o'clock in the morning, I have a very in-depth how-to class to get to the levels that you want to be at. So if this sounds interesting to you, book a call. You don't have to worry about paying for it right up front. We can talk and I can share with you those details. We have a payment plan too. But the most important thing is just book a call. If you want to know how to make 6 figures this year, you want to get on track to make a 6-figure income, and if you want to sell 20 vehicles per month with predictable consistency, like Jen, like Chandler, like Rebecca, like Kelly, like Jay, like Dominic, and the list goes on and on. I mean, they came to me exactly in the same position as so many of you are. If you're at 20 vehicles right now, you want to sell 30, like Tony and Paul and Joe. If you want to get into the 60 car range, now that probably isn't 60 cars at retail right off your showroom floor, but there's a way for us to take you there because we have experience with it, especially with Glenn. Glenn making 7 figures and sells 60 cars plus per month. That's a different sales style. That's with a whole supported staff. So he has scaled himself as an independent automobile salesperson working in a Chevrolet dealership. He doesn't own the dealership, not related to the owners. He's not a manager. He's really humble. I can share with you those details too. He's been a student for well over 15 years. The bottom line is it starts with a 15-minute call. If this sounds interesting to you, book a call. 15 minutes could change your life. My name is Bill Harvey with the Auto Sales Academy on Facebook, the Auto Dealership Academy on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a fantastic day and a super weekend. And I really hope this year is off to a great start for you. We are almost 1 month into the second quarter of the year. So if you're not at the goal that you want to be averaging per month, book a call with me. Because there's one thing you can't get back, and that is time. I can't even give that